It's so quiet for a meeting. So yeah. Everybody's thinking about what they're gonna
Thomas
do
on
on
Thursday.
It's a short week.
We know Thomas is. We're not, well, maybe we should just say it for good measure. Hey, Thomas, meeting's gonna get ready to start, have a seat.
But he's not on tonight.
Oh, okay.
Is he on vacation? He said he was gone for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully he went somewhere fun. Yeah.
Usually goes through the body.
Yes.
All right, it's 5 p.m. Welcome, everyone. It's November 20th, 2023 at Clackamas Fire District. We're always here for you. We value our people and the people we serve. Our focus is establishing teams, trust, empowerment, accountability, mindset, and service. If you're attending in person, please sign in on the sheet at the door. The regular monthly meeting of Clackamas Fire District's Board of Directors will now come to order at 5 p.m. per ORS 192.610 to 192.690. Per ORS 192.650, this meeting is being recorded. The video recording of the meeting will be placed on the Clackamas Fire District website. So before we begin, please stand and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chief Brown, any changes?
No, sir.
Agenda?
Agenda's as stands.
Does any board member have any comments or changes regarding the minutes?
I'll be abstaining because I was not present, I believe.
Okay. Any other comments? If there are no changes or comments, the minutes for the regular board meeting, which was held on October 16th, 2023, stand approved as written. Time for public comment. I will now call for statements from citizens regarding district business. Anyone sign up on the sheet?
Not that I'm aware of, and nothing online.
Okay, nothing online. Okay. So we're gonna move right into our presentation. We have a presentation on Operation Santa 2023, DC Doug Whiteland.
Perfect, thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, it is time for the annual presentation. I'll just kind of give a brief overview what Operation Santa looks like for this coming season. I say coming season, though we're well into it already. So to kick off, we always like to kind of reflect back a little bit, look at the previous collection numbers. It's funny, I'm used to looking at a big screen, I'll just look at my screen here. So last year we collected about 6,300 pounds of food, just over 3,500 toys. And through that estimated served about 700 different families. As you know, we've made the change and no longer doing the fire district warehouse where we get the individual names that the district does work on. We take all of our collected items to several partners. I'll talk about those briefly. So when you compare this is up from what have been the 2021 totals. Specifically toys is dramatically up. And so we hope to see those numbers again this year, and I'll kind of give you an overview of why we think that. So it's gonna look similar to last year with a variety of parades and then also some drop-off events. Excuse me. So with the parades, they'll be spread out throughout the fire district. If you recall, last year we did 4 different parades and we have added a 5th one for this year. You can see on there when they actually start this next Wednesday, the 29th in Clackamas, the day after in Oregon City, and then Friday in Happy Valley. And those are kind of advertised what would be those weekend events, and I'll go over those dates with you. And then you see the next 2 parades there on the 7th and 8th being Milwaukee and Sandy. Sandy is the newest one that we added in there, so we're excited about that. Chief Snyder actually took the opportunity, knows probably that community a little better than the rest of us, so he developed the parade route for us, so we're excited to push that out and share that in that community. If you do recall, we're no longer collecting donations, during the parade routes. We do get some from time to time, so we are prepared to take those. We don't like to turn people away, but we are continuing to advertise. These are just advertisement parades to get out in the community, kind of spread goodwill and encourage people to bring them to a different drop-off event. So for the drop-off events, there are 5 again this year, with 1 change on the location and the date. You'll see there for the first weekend, December 2nd and 3rd, the same 2, Oregon City Movie Theater and then Happy Valley City Hall. That City Hall one's in conjunction with their tree lighting ceremony. And then the following weekend, as you saw, recall, there's the 2 parades, the Milwaukee and Sandy Parade. Are advertising those next events. We have 2 on Saturday, December 9th at the same time in Sandy and Boring. And then the one on December 10th for the city of Milwaukee. That Sandy one is obviously a new one as well. We previously done one on a Wednesday at the training center, and we've had pretty low numbers on those last couple of years. So we're trying something different to bolster the amount of donations we receive. So when we collect everything, we do our best to quickly transfer those to other groups that are using them. So we take them to our partners that we've established, the largest one being Clackamas Service Center. We take most of the stuff to them. They're well set up. They have a great warehouse. They also, not only do they directly distribute, they distribute to smaller groups who then distribute. So they get a good cross section of the fire district, which is a goal of ours. We also partner, one of the events goes to the Amen group, which is out of Clackamas area, and they focus on veterans, military veterans. The next one, I should have wrote Sandy Kiwanis. That's the new connection there for Sandy. They've had a long-standing program there. We wanted to partner with them on that. So everything collected at the Sandy event will go directly to the Sandy Kiwanis. And then obviously others through the partnerships above. There's Lions Club, there's groups in Milwaukee that get some of that stuff and take it from them. Yeah.
I have a question on the Milwaukee.
Yes, I need to update that. Our website's correct. This is the old slide before I recalled that they moved. So it's at where it's always been. It's at the farmer's market parking lot, and it is advertised as a farmer's market.
Yeah, that's what your flyers.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for catching that. Yeah. So that's kind of the overview of it this year. The website, we do have the routes, everything on the website. Encourage people to go there, take a look. One improvement we've made is we have a Santa tracker that goes on the route. We heard a little bit of feedback that no one knew where Santa was and when he was coming. So we developed with our GIS group a Santa tracker. We tried it a few times. It's about 1 to 2 minutes delay, which we advertise because it's where you were, not where you're going to be. But we've done our best to push that information out. And also, short of horrible weather, we're putting Santa back on the antique, which is also something we heard from the community was very important. So those are a couple additional changes. That's all I have for an overview. Happy to answer any questions though. Yes, sir.
A couple parade questions.
Yes, sir.
I know, we used to do like 12 more. It's nice that we're back to doing some now. It's nice to add Sandy. Are we hearing much from some of those communities who aren't getting parades now, like, hey, you're not doing our.
We've heard a little bit, not a lot, just a few of them. Ones that the ones I'm familiar with are ones that previously had a run right in front of their house. We've done our best when we get those, I actually specifically call those people back rather than just send them a generic email and give them the notice of where to find the new routes, how to track Santa, and try to kind of verbally walk them through that.
Okay, and then I had a question regarding Gladstone. Did they do any type of Op Santa before when they did their own, or?
They had a version that they partnered with the school district on that, and there's a retired Portland firefighter who does his own parade. It's called Santa and the Seagrave, and we send Engine 322 with them to support them, and if the VC's available, they attend as well. He does 3 different parade nights that he goes throughout the community and encouraging donations and drop-offs. And we've also at the station, we agreed to put barrels there, and all that stuff stays in the Gladstone community as well.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
So any other questions, comments?
All right, thanks everybody.
Good job. Alrighty, moving on, we've got two business items on the agenda. The first, item B1, authorize investments with maturities of greater than 12 months. CFO Mark Whitaker.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. So this business item relates to the district's cash management policy and investment policy. So the policy as written only authorizes the fire chief and the chief financial officer to make investments of up to 12 months. So we're in an interesting situation where I think it's to our financial benefit to enter some investments of longer than 12 months. In particular, as written in the staff memo there, is the two pumpers that you authorized in October. So we would traditionally pay for those now, basically pay up front for them and then receive them later. And so by paying up front, the vendor would give us a discounted price. But where we're at right now is it would make more financial sense for us to instead hang on to that money, invest it at a higher interest rate and pay for those pumpers down the line when we receive them. And so I think, roughly the break-even point on that is about 3.6%. So as long as we were able to get an interest rate of greater than 3.6% over a 3-year period, we would make more money to hang on to those funds and invest them ourselves than to prepay for the pumpers. So that's my recommendation, is that we invest in probably 3-year treasuries for the US government, which are currently at about 4.5 to 4.6%, and earn those returns and get that money back in 3 years to pay off the engines. The other future purchase for future spending that we have planned, which I mentioned in the memo that we could also do a similar action for, is the prepayment on the 2018 loan that we've talked about in budget discussions. We have at least 3 of those scheduled to pay off that debt, and that's another situation where we could set aside that money in a 18-month to 2-year treasury and earn interest on it rather than letting it sit. So those are my 2 recommendations, is that you authorize us to invest up to $3 million in investments that have a maturity of greater than 12 years, still in compliance with our 12 months. Sorry, greater than 12 months, not 12 years. Still in compliance with our investment policy. We would still have to make sure that they're invested in safe liquid investments like treasuries or agency bonds, but it would exceed the normal limitation of 12 months. So I'm happy to take any questions on this proposal.
Thank you. So I'm a little confused about what you consider the risk on the interest rate. Once you buy the instrument, what risk do we have?
Well, the risk would be, we lock in, say a 4.5% interest rate, and then turns out the market goes the other direction, and we could have, a year from now, got 5 or 7% interest rates, right? So by locking in this rate for 3 years, we could potentially be earning less interest than if we had just kept it in the LGIP or somewhere else, that if interest rates go up. All the expectation is that we're kind of at a high point right now, interest rates are gonna go down, and so we should benefit by locking in the interest rates where they are now.
Yeah, the forecast for 2024 is for the rates to go down.
Yeah, everybody,
In 3 years.
yeah, nobody expects the Federal Reserve to increase rates further and probably to start decreasing them in the spring. So that the timing works out well for what I'm proposing we do here.
Okay, so, as I read the statute, the investment can't exceed the term in which you have to pay it. So the inclusion of the 2024 payment, that we can't do that.
No, we would, sorry, and that wasn't, the investment would be for the payoff of the pumpers and the 2025 and potentially 2026 prepayments of the loan.
Right, and those are less than $3 million, that's it.
Yeah, so that's why it's up to, but I wouldn't exceed what we have planned for the pumpers and those potentially two prepayments, assuming the interest rates work out.
Yeah, because we still, it's not just our policy, we have to abide by the law.
Right.
Which says you can't use this. Yeah, pay other due stuff, which I know you intended to do, so. But I think this is a great idea, and even if there was an interest rate difference, and we're still gonna be 4.5 or whatever ahead. So we're not 5, okay, it's still in a better position. And the unfortunate reason, I mean, you're wise to do what you did, but we always paid because we never had to wait 4 years for an apparatus. If they said they couldn't deliver your paper for your copier for 4 years, I mean, you'd probably find another purveyor. It's just awful, so, but I think it's very innovative. Thank you for doing it.
Thanks. Any other questions, comments? I just think it's a good idea. So with that, do I hear a motion for the board to authorize the chief financial officer to invest up to 3 million in investment types with maturities of up to 3 years?
I like to add, subject to the applicable restrictions under law as to those investments.
Okay, we'll amend it with what Director Wall added.
So moved. Second,
Shelby, please call the roll.
Jay,
yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yeah,
Jim.
Yes. Passes unanimously, thank you. Item B2, designating the district's budget officer, assistant chief, business services, Brian Stewart.
All right, good evening, everyone. You have in front of you a request to designate the district's chief financial officer as the district's budget officer. We came to you about a year ago, I believe it was in November of last year, with a similar proposal to designate the position rather than an individual on an annual basis, but to designate the CFO as the budget officer on a continual basis until the board takes some other action. The basis of the conversation last year, and I believe why the board postponed moving forward with the proposal, was really twofold. One, there was uncertainty about whether one person meant a named individual like Mark Whitaker, or if it could be a position like the chief financial officer. We've gone back and gotten some clarity on that, and having the chief financial officer or other appointed position is certainly well within the bounds, and there are many agencies that do just that. The other second piece that the board talked about was the opportunity to provide training or mentorship to others to be the budget officer. Conversations with Chief Financial Officer Whitaker suggested that while he certainly wants to train successors and give people opportunities, that it would be his preference to retain the responsibility of that position to the CFO. So with those two pieces, we recommend and request that the board approve the CFO as the budget officer for the district.
Director Wall?
wow, Brian,
Yes, ma'am.
when I say no, I mean no. I don't mean come back later. And while I admire your diligence in this, I wasn't focused on anything other than the right of the board, the obligation of the board under the statute to make this appointment. With due respect to Miller Nash, it's the statute as reported, it says the governing body shall appoint such officer. It doesn't say shall not, shall appoint the fire chief to do it, shall delegate somebody else to do it. It says this is an obligation of the board, and I think it means what it says. I don't know how Miller Nash is dicing it to say that it doesn't say that, but, you know, the only person that can appoint a CFO is the fire chief. The only person who can decide whether we have a CFO is the fire chief. This says the board is supposed to designate the budget officer. So I continue to object to anybody other than us. I mean, I've been on the board 24 years. It's always taken us like 5 minutes to do this. And why it suddenly has become an issue, I don't know, but it's, to me, the statute is absolutely clear. It says this board will do this. I will vote in opposition to this request.
But if we appoint and say the budget officer is gonna be the chief financial officer, haven't we done that?
So the point of person, not an office. That's what Brian's asking for, is that we say the chief financial officer, not Mark Whitaker, the chief financial officer.
Which is
Whoever
always
that
gonna be a
is.
person.
Yeah, it's not a person. It's an office.
It's always a person.
What they want, the policy to state is that we're appointing somebody who is in an office. The office is appointed. Oh, and other jurisdictions, excuse me, if other jurisdictions have that, it's possible their charters permit it, but ours doesn't. So, anyway, it's whatever you guys want to do. I can't go there because I think it means what it's saying.
Don't we have to do this every year?
Yeah, every year it takes 5 minutes.
So would it hurt just to change the sentence? Staff requests the board of directors designate Mark Whitaker as budget officer.
That'd be for this year, yeah,
So
that's what we
you're-
usually do.
Okay.
That's what she said.
It takes 5 minutes. to
For
do.
fiscal year,
But what Brian wants to do, we wouldn't do that anymore. It would just be fixed by our policy manual. And so if we don't have a CFO, I'm not really sure what happens, because we have to go back and amend our policy manual, and it takes 2 months to do that. But so we wouldn't do it, yeah, in fact, we anticipate that we no longer appoint anybody, it's just assumed,
yes, that would be the intent.
which is also contrary to what the Department of Revenue says you're supposed to do, which is appoint somebody every year, everybody do it. But,
So I've spoken with the Department of Revenue and they are amenable to the proposal.
good for them, because, as I like to say, you might get fired if this is wrong, I get sued, and I don't like that. That's just my thought.
How about nobody gets fired or sued?
Okay, that would be best, let's just leave it the way it is.
Is there a serious reason you wanna do this?
So going back to the previous year, so we looked at, and as part of the focus of the administration is to look at how can we streamline most of our processes or processes as we come across them. This is one of the opportunities because it comes up in the board policy manual that we looked at, and we decided to bring it to the board. The board gave some feedback, so we wanted to address that. We went and did additional research, and then I believe we reintroduced the concept during the board policy review this year as we struck the every November reminder to designate the board, or excuse me, the budget officer. So there's no criticality to it. It was intended to be a piece of recognizing the position and moving the organization forward. But there's no criticality to it.
So, during the board policy manual update, I don't recall actually talking about that specifically, but did we? Maybe I just don't remember.
I believe we spoke about it. I don't think it was a large piece. It was in the calendar of like, what would we do in January, February, March, April? There was a line in November that speaks to appointing the budget officer, and we spoke to, we'd like to remove that because we were gonna bring this forward this month.
Okay, so it seems like a simple thing to do, but it would be nice to have us unanimous. I guess if that means we updated the policy manual and it says that it is an ongoing designation to the CFO position. But can we go outside that and put a name to it now, or does it make any difference?
So I don't believe the board policy manual speaks to the actual payment. The piece that was in the board policy manual was essentially the simple reminder or the simple piece that says, this is the regular business of the board. It didn't take any action within that board policy manual to designate anyone.
Jay, Chris?
I would just say at this point, I mean, I understand Marilyn's point, I understand Brian's point. So far, the practical reality is in the last 2 years, we've spent more time talking about this than we would have saved in 10 if we had done it like this. So how about we just let it go, and next year we'll say it's Mark, and this year we'll say it's Mark, and it's a 5-minute thing. How's that? Let it ride? Okay.
So I guess,
Or you, Jay.
are you stating to put the name to it this time?
Yeah, I'm just saying, we just do like we done, just declare Mark's the budget officer, and Marilyn's right, it takes us 2 or 3 minutes every year, so if there's concern about the legalist,
I have a firefighter brain, my brain says, whatever it takes to get Mark to be a budget officer, let's just do that.
So how about this? Do I hear a motion for the board to designate the district's chief financial officer, Mark Whitaker, as budget officer
So moved.
For the next fiscal year.
for the next fiscal year?
Second.
Do we need to state, real quickly, do we need to state the fiscal year or just the next fiscal year? Does that motion?
2020.
24, 25.
Shelby?
Jay,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Jim.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, other business, OB1, board committee liaison reports. First up, we have foundation liaison, Director Frost, but I believe you have another, report you wanted to do, so the time's yours.
Thank you. First I want to talk about the OFDDA conference that we had in first of November. It's a really good conference, had a great turnout. I think it was 140 some people at the conference, which was significantly up in Cook River. Had a lot of positive feedback from the directors and the chief officers that were there. It was some people said it was the best OFDDA conference they've gone to. This year, we did a live auction, first time we ever done a live auction, and I found out when I showed up that morning, and they said, oh, guess what, we're having a live auction, you're the auctioneer. So we had a lot of fun doing that, raised quite a bit of money on that. I don't know if Jenna was online or not, but Jenna was spent a little bit of money and she got encouraged by a little bit of a battle. That was a lot of fun for a lot of people. And so that was good. Our live auction made, our auction made several $1,000s more than it normally does. And it's for just so everybody knows what the auction funds go to, is it pays for directors of the smaller fire districts around the state that don't have enough money to send directors to the conference. That we offer scholarships for those directors in those smaller fire districts to attend training. So that's what that was all about. So it was a good thing. Part of the conference, a couple of things I wanted to share with you that were really awesome. There was Kenton Johnson, our chaplain, along with Tim Dietz, and the chaplain for Hillsborough Fire did a wonderful presentation on mental health. And Kenton moderated that presentation. During that presentation, Tim Dietz, who travels all over the country and teaches on mental health and has written several books, and he also travels in Canada, so he's an internationally recognized speaker. He got up in front of an audience of about 80 people and said that Clackamas Fire has by far the best peer support program of anywhere in North America, Canada and the United States. And he went on for about 3 minutes talking about Clackamas Fire and Heather Goodrich and her team. And I almost swelled up with tears in listening to somebody like Tim Dietz talking about our organization, more specifically Heather and her team, of what they've been able to do here in this organization. So I just wanted to throw out that that was pretty cool. They said that, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said Heather has set the bar so high that that's what other organizations needs to try to achieve. And I thought that was just absolutely phenomenal. And I swelled up big time. I wish more of you could have been there to hear that happen. So, and the other thing I gotta throw out is a huge shout out to Isaac Hamilton. He came over, first time this has ever been done, I think, at any conference in Oregon, but the ask of him was to take the fear out of social media for fire chiefs and elected officials. And Isaac was a little nervous because nothing like this had ever been done before, but he and I were able to kind of tag team that a little bit. And he was outstanding. He was absolutely outstanding. I had several directors come up to me afterwards and said that he definitely took the fear out of what social media does. And they were going to look at doing social media stuff in the future. I had some conversation, a lot of sidebar conversations on it, and obviously Isaac being Isaac put his information up on the board for people to contact. I talked to him at the auction. the auction later on Saturday night after we come back. And as of the auction, Isaac said he had received 6 email requests for more information and 2 job offers. So just in a couple of days, he was shown to be a fairly significant hit throughout the state. So look out. I think Isaac is bound for bigger and better things out there. So it was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Second thing I want to talk about is just really quick. I'm not going to steal too much thunder here, but we did have the foundation auction on the 4th. It was well attended. It was, this pretty much the straightforward kind of benefit auction that you've all been familiar with over the years. But one of the things that I wanted to mention, and Jerry can talk about the details when he gets up there, but at the very end of the auction, a family donated to the foundation $210,000 for Clackamas Emergency Services Foundation. And so that is going to be very helpful moving forward. But it was a little bit of a big part of that was because of Jerry. It was because of what Jerry's work has done at the foundation with all of the stuff that he had been doing with a lot of the relief funds and him being out there and promoting the fire district and the foundation. And when it came time for this family to decide what they were going to do with this $210,000 that they had laying around, they decided to give it to the foundation because of Jerry. So I wanted everybody to know that as well. And that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Good job, Jerry.
I'll tell you greater detail.
Well, since we're talking about foundation, if you wanna,
Excuse me, sir.
since we're talking about the foundation now, if you wanna add to,
No, I don't want to steal Ryan's thunder.
okay,
He's up next, I think.
yeah, we'll wait then, yeah, we're good. Next interagency committee, we had a Sandy interagency committee meeting on October 31st out of the Sandy Annex. We had the 2 directors from Sandy, Director Joseph, myself, Chief Dieters. We continue to hear great feedback regarding the contract for service. There's been a lot of participation in a lot of the community events that they talked about. Our meeting was on Halloween, and right before that, there was a trick or treat event in Sandy that sounded like it went really, really well. The crews are attending football games, I think we were told. And the additional staffing of that rescue is making a huge difference on the call volume. So it was all good, positive feedback that we got at the meeting. Are you gonna do a Sandy update in your report too, or
Sure.
tag on to it now? Since we're
Like you said, things continue to go well out there. Our meeting went well and a lot of praise. It's just our business model. We're not pouring anything on out there. It's just how we do for all of our communities. So they're very impressed with what we've been able to do. Phil's presence out there has been really good. Phil and I are still attending the CPO meetings. We're attending city council meetings and meeting with the city, and had a 2-hour meeting with them on Friday with their new city manager and his expectations of the fire district and what we can do together. And pretty much like that. That's about that.
And Chief Snyder, thank you for all the work you're doing. We hear a lot of good things, a lot of positive feedback.
That's been good.
Regarding you too. So anything to add?
No, I think just things are great. Yeah, they've been good. I think people are happy.
Hey, Joe, if I can say something, if you guys get a chance to get out to Sandy and go through his office, I was out at Sandy at a meeting. I just sat in his office and just live in awe, all the cool stuff you got. It's like a museum.
Oh, you're there for yourself.
I mean, and that's what I was saying, when he retires, this whole museum, you're gonna have to leave the office here because it's like a museum.
It is what
So anyway, if you get a chance to go out there. Go.
Phil showed me his first base though.
Okay, OB2 board informational updates, comments. Any director have anything else you'd like to talk about? Any updates, comments, or anything you'd like to say? Okay. Moving on to division department reports, Chief Brown will share an update from the office of the fire chief.
Thanks, John. I guess starting off with the report, it's gonna be a little bit of a somber one. I sent an email to the board this morning. At about 6:15 this morning, I spoke to the Gresham Fire Chief. And it's with a heavy heart that I let everybody know that firefighter Brian Flowers from Gresham Fire, he's been on the job for a little bit over 15 years at Gresham. He passed away from leukemia late last night. Brian's son is just newly brought on to the fire department in September. And so this is the second, what's considered a line of duty death that the Gresham Fire Department has had in the last 12 months. And so our hearts and prayers, thoughts go out to the Gresham Fire family. And we've reached out for peer support, for coverage during the funeral, whatever they need, they know that they have from us. Brian was a very well respected and loved firefighter, not only for the fire department of Gresham, but the surrounding departments. He was a great firefighter and husband, father, and son and brother to so many. It just shows the dangers that our firefighters face, not only on the job because of emergencies, but the effects from after the emergency, with getting leukemia. So, yeah, sorry to bring that forward, but I thought it was important to do so. Now on to some brighter news. I love being able to do this because I rob a lot of what Steve's gonna say, and so it's awesome. But October was a very busy community engagement month. And if you notice, a lot of our updates are talking about engagement with the community. Doug's division is really doing amazing work out in the community with the open houses. We had the trick or treat. We had the trick or treat event at Sandy and Chief Schneider. How many people did you estimate came through there?
Every bit of 1,500, probably 1,500 to 1,800. We went through all the candy.
Yeah. So pretty amazing things that they're doing, and that's all I'm gonna say as far as community services to give you some more to talk about. But we put in for a Homeland Security Program grant and was awarded $60,000 for that, which is really an enhanced multi-casualty simulation training equipment. Chief Huffman put in for that, and we were awarded that this year, which is amazing. Some unfortunate news is we did put in a grant, an AOG grant for our radios, and we were unfortunately we did not receive that AOG grant. We were very hopeful that we were going to get that grant, but it did not come through. So we are looking at secondary measures and a plan of attack to mitigate those radios, as that is a risk out there for us for the future. Yeah, and at this point, I'll save the rest for Dan and everybody else to speak to. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Next, Assistant Chief Stewart will share an update from the Office of Strategic Services.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of updates this evening. Most recently, the CCOM, WACA, the 4 dispatch centers, particularly LOCOM, as well as C800, performed a CAD upgrade. And the notable piece to that is it was first CAD upgrade that Fast Tech's been involved with. They made sure that all the prerequisite installations were done on the computers. They did some testing, and then on our end, we haven't had any malfunctions or challenges with our computer system for that upgrade. So that's a very positive note. And it's been enjoyable to work with them and see them meet some of our partner agencies, and sitting in with them, talking to CCOM, talking to Gladstone and those others, about CAD pieces as we've been developing that. Secondly, just a couple tidbits from facilities. So the fencing project at one, the gates are, the main vehicle gates are now operational. We're waiting for some piece of the controller for the person gate going from the parking lot to the main entrance where the front door. So that'll be a few weeks out, but at least the vehicle, from the vehicle side, the lot's secure. And then this last month, we kicked off, or the state kicked off, a rural fire protection district task force. So I'm serving on that, Chief's request, and then Chief Huffman is the alternate for it. So this task force is reviewing RS 478. It was part of legislation from last year to look at most all of that ORS. Some of the pieces related to timberlands has been excluded from that. But we'll be meeting monthly, potentially more than monthly, as we prepare to make recommendations to the legislature as soon as September of next year. Last piece I would touch on, just with all the community pieces going on, really speaking to Captain soon BBC Bauer and Chief Huffman, is their participation in Gladstone reunification efforts with the high school, just going through some training drills and an upcoming tabletop exercise in maybe 2 weeks. So it's good to see them out there, and it's been well received by the school board, the school, and just the cooperators. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Brian. Next, Assistant Chief Peters will share an update from Office of Business Services.
I think Nick already did it.
Okay,
Thanks.
you're well.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Just to highlight a few things that Nick forgot. Health and wellness for October really focused on occupational health and getting us all through all of that. Human Resources participated in the civil service meeting in October, and then we launched the entry-level firefighter test and working through that and really revamping our whole testing package. And so that was successful, went through civil service, and it's been launched as of now. Public information and social media, their focus has been on advertising the job openings, and then as well as developing a plan as we move forward with implementation of the levy and how to communicate that through our social media and through the public. So they're working on a plan for that. And then really community services, they did a ton of open houses in October, and in addition to planning for Operation Sandage, kind of a 5 to 6 week plan to get that kicked off. So really proud of all those folks and staying busy in October. Happy to answer any questions.
They need drivers for opposite.
I don't know that one.
Out of my wheelhouse now. You'd have to ask. We got a training van that needs.
It has lights.
I never liked it.
All right, thanks, Steve. Next, CFO Whitaker will share an update from the Office of Financial Services.
Sure. So just to start off, the finance report, as always, is included in your board packet, starting on page 15 this month, if there's any questions. Just a few other highlights from the finance world. With Finance Manager Michael Wong worked with facilities on a invitation to bid for concrete projects out around the training center and Station 8. So that invitation to bid went out earlier this month, and bids are due, I believe, next week. So we're hopeful that we'll get some good bids to complete that project, which was included in the budget for up to $450,000, I believe. And then the other thing I just wanted to highlight is just fleet. Did a bit of an audible on purchasing the quick response vehicles. We had been looking at a lengthy procurement process to purchase those, but we were able to identify some used ones that would meet our needs and specifications. So they went ahead and tested those and decided to make that purchase. So they moved forward on that. And then the last thing I wanted to highlight was just, because I was just in a meeting about it, was just some of the great work that Rick Huffman and EMS are doing, especially around grants. Chief Brown already mentioned the AFG grant for the cardiac monitors and the simulation equipment, but they're also finalizing the grant with the county to get some of the ARPA funds for community paramedicine. And that's not just Rick, that goes back to the work that Amy Jo Cook did before she retired and putting that together and establishing that program, some of the work that BC Josh Santos did on the AFG grant, but quite a bit of money coming in to enhance our EMS program, so just wanted to highlight that.
Did you wanna talk at all about what's going on at the old IT building? Or is that, we'll leave that for Rick in the future?
That'll be good for Rick in the future, I think.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't understand on your graphing, the general fund property tax revenues, those are October to October, and it's down $200,000.
This is for this fiscal year, so July through October. And so compared to last year, prior year property tax revenue, because up through October, we're just collecting miscellaneous prior year revenues that folks pay. So it's pretty variable. It's a small amount, but it's down.
$158,000, maybe small to you, it's big to me.
Right.
It's so anomalous, the curves on everything else are the other.
Right, and then if we look at 21-22, in that same period, we only collected about 180,000. So I think when you're looking at prior year tax revenues, that money is very variable because it's just when are people catching up on back taxes and things like that. So I honestly, at this point of the year, you know, the real revenue, this is $300,000 out of over 70 million we're getting property tax revenue this year. And there's not a lot of consistency to those prior year tax monies and when they come in.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Next, Division Chief Mueller will share an update from the Office of Emergency Services.
Great, good evening, board members. Just a quick update, I mean, I'm kind of ping pong around a few places with operations. There's a lot going on. I want to hit the very first thing is the challenges that we have with our private ambulance companies and our level zeros that we have in the area. Level zero is when there's no ambulances available in the county. And we hear a lot now that we're level zero in Multnomah County and Clackamas County. They're doing, between Rick Huffman and Bill Conway, Jason Mail from AMR, they're doing everything that they can and have done some troubleshooting on why some of those issues are happening. And so they're, one of the, solutions that they came up with is that they're going to contract with Metro West Ambulance for possibly one car a day in Clackamas County to kind of help with that. So they're making progress, but our crews have been challenged with delayed ambulance response. And they're doing everything, and Chief Taylor can attest to it, they're doing everything that they can to improve outcomes and make decisions and communicate with their ambulance companies and kind of help prioritize different calls. So it is a big challenge, it's a high priority of the county, and so we're adjusting with that. So with Medic 316 and Medic 303, there just seems to be an uptick in situations where they're where they're pushing the limits on their capabilities and trying to deliver service, and even after hours when they're not logged in as a ambulance, they're still being requested to get back into the system. And so we're just troubleshooting, and our goal is improve patient outcomes. So it's kind of our simple matrix that we're using internally, but it's been a challenge, it's gonna be a continued challenge for us. So we're working through that. Ping ponging all the way to Crew 30. They're in Kentucky right now. We have a crew that left on November 7th. They have 7 people. That is right when we pretty much furloughed them when they got back from their I want to say they had a 104-day season that ended, and then we're already in recruitment, and then we had to make phone calls, see if anybody could come back and jump on a plane to go to Kentucky. So we're over there right now. I haven't touched base with Brenda if they're gonna get extended past their 14 days, but with travel days, it's kind of pushing that limit right now. The QRVs that CFO Whitaker talked about, just want to touch on that a little bit more in depth. That was a promise to our community that we were going to put QRVs in with the levy, and we just assured that we were going to have a deliverable with this move. Fully support the direction that the organization went with that. There's a lot of unknowns right now with apparatus build time, and for example, we just got our our letter back from Pierce says that our 2 engines, are gonna go into production at the beginning of 2027. So it seems so far out, we wanted to take control of our own destiny, and this move with the QRVs was the right thing for the organization, plus it was definitely cost efficient, so. Shift into training, a lot going on in training, so we have a career academy, and right now they're in week 11. Last week they did live fire, and this week they did fire investigation. Today they actually got to go out to a house fire that we had over the weekend and actually do an investigation on a real incident, which is pretty cool. Our apprentices are on the line. We staggered them depending on their EMT class and needs, but they've been on the line for about 5 weeks, going extremely well. I think they're having a great time. Some of them have fought a good amount of fire in their short fire service career so far, so that's really good to see. And then our fire crews, we're using the old Jackson campus right now, the old Oregon City High School. We've gotten access to that and have conducted dozens of hose trekking drills there, so it's really cool. A lot of people found their own lockers and saw if the combination can work, because a lot of history going through that school. But it's been great for our crews and some of the battalions to be able to get in there. Professional development, our commitment has been professional development and our people, and we've committed to company officer training with incident command strategies and tactics. And so we're just beginning to roll out of a 2-year rollout with Anthony Castro's Calm the Chaos training. So we've purchased 102 licenses for a 32-hour self-paced course, which I am almost through it, and it is hands down the best fire officer training that I've gotten in my entire career. It is really, really good. It is anywhere from a task level company officer, even it's gonna be super beneficial for our firefighters to see some of this. It goes all the way up to incident command, and commanding large incidents and helicopter drops and box store fires and the whole bit. So it is really good training. We're gonna have the battalion chief group go through it by the first of the year, see what policy implications we have, and see how we're gonna do the rollout to the line to get all 102 licenses used up. That's gonna cover everybody from the fire chief all the way down to the last person on the lieutenant's promotional list. And then next year's 18 train the trainers. So this is very similar to like when we integrated the Tiller program, where we didn't have a product to start with and it was brand new. And the time that it takes and the commitment to orchestrate a pretty well lined out project. This is gonna be exactly like that. It's gonna take a long time to get it fully implemented and have it be standard practice and terminology around the organization, but it is super positive. I truly believe it is gonna improve safety, our efficiency around the fireground communication, the whole bit. So it is a huge push forward, so.
Dan, can I cut you off just for 1 second? You speak to, after going through this, the tactical gap.
Right.
And so not only has this training proven to be great for incident command and things like that, but it's broadened a little bit with communication style and.
How we run the organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to, if I get in the weeds, let me know. But there's communication's everything, right? Communication is linked on the fireground is linked to the NIOSH 5. It's the 5 things that kill firefighters. It is in every single report. It is the same thing that you can link to. Well, when you get to running an organization, we find out that communication, it links perfectly with strategy and tactics. So what there is you have the incident commander at the strategic level, and you have the firefighter down at a task level. And somewhere in there, you have to bridge the communication gap. You can't have Nick talk to the firefighter. You can't have the IC talk to the firefighter. You have to have them talk to some mid-level supervisor that has eyes on the incident, eyes on the crews, good situational awareness, gets good information and feeds that back to the incident commander. So they call bridging the tactical gap. If you can bridge that tactical gap with the group or division supervisor, you catch the NIOSH 5 and prevent them from landing in your incident. So when you look at running an organization on how operations communicates to the line or how the fire chief communicates to the line, it is the same exact thing. You need that mid-level manager in there to bridge the tactical gap, to help with the communication point, kind of the pivot point between the line and administration. When come January 1, when we get BC Kyle Wilson is our ops chief, and BC Jonathan Shireman is our field ops. That is gonna be a massive component for our organization to bridge the tactical gap and improve communication flow up and down in the organization. So it kind of was an aha moment when we went through this training, didn't think that we were gonna pull that out, but it literally, they are two parallels that we're looking to really improve on both ends, on the fire ground and in the fire station and administration. So yeah, pretty interesting. Thanks, Chief. Okay, two more things. AO promotions. So in January 1, we have we're up staffing for the levy. So we're gonna get the second AOs at Station 14, Station 8, and we're making an adjustment at Station 10 as well. So we're gonna have pretty much water tenders galore on incidents. So we're gonna do a deployment change for Station 8, put a water tender in the dead center of our fire district. So we have a lot of promotion notifications that are out, and all effective for January 1. So the big one is apparatus operators. So super excited. We got a lot of energetic people that are gonna step into that position, and it's gonna do just huge things for the organization and for the service delivery come January 1. And then the last thing, actually two more things. November was, we had a change in Fire Defense Board chief with Clackamas County Fire Defense Board. So I'm now the Fire Defense Board chief. Chief Jim Davis from Canby has served us 3 years, and I was an alternate, and we moved me into the position for a 3-year term. It's gonna be great because it's the perfect timing for us to kind of align some of the things that we need to do in the county and bring somebody young into the position that has some of the energy to do these things. And one of those is our emergency operation, how we communicate amongst the county with our partners and with other counties. So working with Tualatin Valley, we had the first discussion this last week of Fire Defense Board about what we can do to bring ourselves into alignment in preparation for anything from the 115-degree day to when the 9.0 hits. So they have an emergency manager who has a lot of energy behind it. He orchestrated an exercise last month. We had a huge room at Tualatin Valley's Training Center. We had divided into Washington County, Clackamas County. We had disaster management, fire chiefs, police chiefs, everybody from the Sandy police chief to a deputy chief from City of Portland. And what we did is we exercised 2 different incidents. One was a chlorine leak in Washington County caused by a train derailment. And the other one was a wildfire in Clackamas County in the Holcomb drainage. And so we used our current system that we have in place to do notifications, evacuations and all that. And then we had a briefing with an application that provides more technology and kind of repeated the situation on how to get notifications out. Clackamas County we've had reps this last year between the Blue Jay Fire, Camp Creek incident, Forest Park incident, Miles Fiberglass, all those we've had the county EOC stood up. And our agency and agencies around us have had we've had good reps of exercising. Washington County hasn't had that big incident. So they were a little rusty, and our county pulled things off really, really well, which is kind of comes back into our momentum and cooperation with everybody in the area. Everybody's a familiar face now, and we're looking to push this thing push this thing down the road a little bit further, get the collaboration going with the counties and take this to the next level in preparation for the bigger disasters. So we have I think this summer was busy, and as unfortunate as some of the situations were, for the long run, it's gonna be great for the organization to kind of have that in our back pocket and build out that experience. So really looking to kind of drive us in that direction. So long report, but end of report. So any questions?
Questions, comments? I was gonna ask, I didn't see anything in the news in Kentucky. What is Crew 30 doing in Kentucky?
Jim, the weather over there, apparently they have a lot of smaller fires, 1,000-acre fires going. Brent was saying that part of the country normally cooks off in You know, their WUI, their wildland urban interface looks a little bit different than ours. So it's a bunch of smaller incidents. And it sounds like they just, it went through the cooperative agreement that we have with Oregon Department of Forestry. And the request came through them and they reached out to our crew and said, there are any resources available. So I'm not,
Rocky Branch Fire.
is what?
The Rocky
The Rocky
Branch
Branch, okay.
Fire is the fire that they're on.
So, yeah,
All right,
crazy times.
thanks, Dan.
Yeah, you bet.
Next, I assume Andrew's on.
Yep.
So, Shop Steward Gordian will share an update from the local 1159.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Live from Station 7. Okay, so see, a couple updates. Lobbying at the state has resulted in an additional $5 million in apprentice funding throughout the state, which will be distributed in January. Let's see, Nate Hahn has been elected to the role of Local 1159 president, and I was elected to the role of vice president position 2. Those positions start January of next year. The Clackamas Fire Shop is in the process of electing a new steward, new assistant steward, and bargaining team. Let's see, the Local 1159 Foundation made a number of recent donations, notably to an organization, Unified Sports Special Olympics. The team joins students with and without intellectual disabilities on the same team. One of our members volunteers and their son is a part of this team. So other than that, I don't have any other additional updates. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Congratulations.
Or condolences.
Be careful what you wish for.
Thanks, everybody.
Alrighty, thanks,
Thanks,
Andrew.
Andrew.
Next, volunteer coordinator Craig Arrow and volunteer president Jerry Carney will share updates from the Volunteer Association.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. October was busy all the way around as we support a lot of what community services does and the events for volunteer support. We staffed Station 12, 14 out of 31. The Dover Station out on Furwood, 17 out of 31. Rehab 302, 6 out of 31. And Rehab 321, 4 out of 31. But we get the rehabs out all the time, so I got to figure a better way to report that because that doesn't really show what the volunteers are doing. They also supported, the rehab units also supported the live fire day at Station 10 and enhanced search day out in Young's Lane in Damascus. So they are very active during the week, supporting our training efforts to get the new recruits out to the street, which is super exciting. Did some training. We did masking up. One of the things that the operations group and training has really been pushing is we're going to get in quick and we're going to occupy the fire space and search for victims, and we're going to search for the fire and put it out quick. We're not going to let the fire dictate what we do. We're going to try and control the situation as much as possible. So masking up and actually being able to get into the fire quickly and efficiently, safely, is one of the drills we did, and bring the Sandy folks over. That was kind of a new change for them. So that was great. They appreciated that drill and enhanced their ability to be ready to go into the fire district. And then we also did some prepping for the winter season and the change of the weather, where we have a bunch of new apparatus and new chains that we've never put on before. So we actually pulled into Station 7-1 and chained up the water tenders, chained up the rehab, chained up the brush rigs, had crews around, and we made it all work and figured out which chains went where. And Trevor Cooper and his crew out at the Sandy Station did a great job creating a system that simplified just a bunch of boxes of chains that we thought maybe went on these rigs, but we didn't know for sure. So that was great. Then the crews participated in multi-agency training, just the same training that the paid staff went through at AMR. That was their EMS drill. And then we went out to Station 7-4, which is more susceptible to the weather in the east, and winterized that station up for the winter and kind of got the station ready for the changing weather, shutting down all the water and stuff like that. One of the exciting things for me is on the 17th, we started a new volunteer recruit academy. We have 11 suppression volunteers, one former Olympian, which is kind of exciting, but probably the most fun is we have 3 water tender drivers, one of which is Rich Stenhouse, who did his whole career in Portland, came and
blessed the fire marshal's office for 7 years here, retired, and now wants to come back. Because basically how our crews treated his son that was involved in an accident, earlier this year, and wants to give back to the organization that helped his family. So he should be teaching the volunteer academy, with his experience and tenure in the industry. But he is just a humble leader from below, and it is so awesome to watch how he can lead in that position. And then we have one support volunteer that's just focused strictly on wanting to drive the rehab. Other than that, I think that's about it. We got some people that got hired, so we have some people on leave, attended a couple graduations, which has been sad, but great. I love to see these people achieve their dream. It's my hope that as we start extending offers in late winter, early spring, that I'll be attending graduations for guys that are here. Aaron Snyder's a guy in the academy now. He's about a month and a day away from graduating here, who was a former Vol. So, and then we have a couple explorers that are in the academy right now, which is just, that's my passion, is to see these guys achieve their dream, and obviously on the ideal team is what I like as well. So, any questions? I'll take those at this time. Yes.
On the volunteer report, the station duty shift, it says station 12, 14, 31, station 13, 17 out of 31, but I heard you say the Dover station.
It should be station 7-4. We have turned station 13 over to
Okay.
operations / facilities as they're beginning to upstaff that for paid career staff coming on. So,
Okay. Perfect.
yeah, I think that might have been a mistype.
Okay. Thanks for all the great work that you're doing in the volunteer business. Excellent.
Did you have your hand up, Chief?
Just real quick, what's the messaging like, or the vibe been like since we've opened up our process with the volunteers? As far as the career, the firefighter process.
They're pretty excited. We have some Sandy folks that came over that are really excited about the opportunity. And to speak to that a little bit, they've melded right into the organization as now members of our new volunteer association board. And it's just been amazing. We've got Sandy, and I shouldn't even say it, we have Clackamas volunteers, and so they just happen to be former Sandy volunteers working at Station 12 out in Logan's, filling in shifts when we're short there. We've got some former Gladstone volunteers that are shooting all the way out to Dover, pick up a shift here and there to fill a gap. So it's been just like the Clackamas family, where everybody just kind of comes together and makes that perfect mesh and perfect team. So it's been great, and I think there's a lot of excitement about the opportunity over the next couple of years here.
Good.
Thanks. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Brian. Jerry?
Okay, whoops. Sorry.
Steady there.
The first thing I want to say is I agree 100% with what Brian just said. Sitting up in front of the Volunteer Association, it still is. Sandy's over here, Clackamas is back here, support's over there, but it's starting to blend. And we're starting to get much more participation and presence on the part of Sandy than we ever had in the past, from any other adopted organization, shall I say. From a community service standpoint, the Volunteer Association hosted, and I can think of 4 and probably more, Halloween events, welcoming the neighbors into stations that were hospitable and where you didn't worry about the kids getting hit by cars and trucks and whatever out on the highway. Then I do want to address what Director Cross brought up. We received a immense donation. It wasn't a purchase of anything at the auction or anything like that. It was an outright gift. But the part that he hasn't said it was not just a gift. Last year, these friends that sat at our table, we've had them at every auction that we've gone to. Last year, they heard the story of engine 17, who went to what was supposed to be a medical floor. And it turned out that not to be a real medical floor. First off, the woman who lived in the house is in a wheelchair. Secondly, her husband's in the hospital. Third, she dropped her pills. That was the nature of the medical floor. Get the pills straightened out. But while they were there, they noticed that her wheelchair ramp was deteriorated badly. And they took it upon themselves to go get lumber and rebuild. Now, I say take it upon themselves. I don't know if they called their BC or if they called the chief of department or who, but they initiated the aid to citizens. Our friends are seated there at our table, hearing the story last year. And I didn't know any of this was going on. This is all background stuff that my wife and friends are concocting. It develops that while I was making 400 trips to and from Sandy, to and from Estacada, dispensing money and investigating whether or not a claim was real, that sort of thing. My friend is saying to my wife, "Where's Jerry?" And she said, "Well, it's somewhere on 212 or 224 on the way to Estacada." Okay? I didn't know the next part. He is the trustee, one of 3 trustees of a multi-million-dollar trust that his father left to be dispensed to agencies such as us who are doing good work with low overhead. Well, you can't get much lower than nothing. And we apparently do pretty good work. He was satisfied with that too. And he and his sisters, who were the other 2 co-trustees, decided they were going to bestow upon the foundation funds. And Tracy didn't like the number, something like $209,000. And he wanted to make it $210,000. So he takes out his wallet and just rips out 100 and sends his wife up to the auctioneer to get it. Now, this is really a good story so far, but there's always a but. I am working diligently with our accountant. Back in 2003, the Emergency Services Foundation apparently changed its name. Well, not apparently, we know it did. It changed its name from the Clackamas Emergency Medical Foundation to the Clackamas Emergency Services Foundation. One little name, one little word. Everybody that has to be notified of this got the notification, except for the big guy, IRS. So IRS turned down Tracy's request for a tax deduction in his donation to us. The accountant is fighting this and believes we have a winner. But it's our intention to take those funds and invest them wisely, prudently, like we try to do with everything else. And then, excuse me, I also want to report to you on our auction. It was far more successful than last year. We had almost every chair filled. Last year, we had almost every chair empty. We don't know the results yet. We're getting those next Monday. And I'll be happy to report to you when the time comes to that. I know that second part about the gift that we received was not part of volunteer association, but you are the member. And I do respect that and, you know, want to report to you, particularly the good things that happen. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions or comments for Jerry?
I have, well, just one more quick. We've known this couple for 25 years. Never suspected of anything like this was gonna hit. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And have a happy Thanksgiving from both the foundation and the association.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Good job. Alrighty, any comments regarding any of the correspondence items that were in the packet? Any input on lots of articles, informational items, and comments regarding any of those?
The media hits.
Yeah, it's quite a nice list. So with that, anything else, questions, comments? Everyone look like you're ready to say something. Just looking up your tax exempt IRS stuff. So, the next Board of Directors meeting will be Monday, December 18th, 5 PM here in this room, Station 5. Before we adjourn, 3 items. Number 1, we have a birthday. Congratulations, Director Cross made it to another one. And I understand we have cupcake celebration afterwards. Secondly, I want to add to what Jerry said. Have a happy and safe Thanksgiving to everyone this week with your families, wherever you travel or wherever your family travels to. And third, also have a happy and safe Civil War Day. Whatever we're supposed to call it. How many in the room, and don't be embarrassed, are rooting for the Beavers?
Motivated rodents.
Okay, we got some. And how many are for the Ducks? Nice, so we're split, half and half, that's the way it should be.
How many of the Duck fans actually went to U of O? How many bought a hat?
Everyone supports Oregon in general.
It's gonna be a fun day. It'll be a epic game with both schools doing so well this year, so it'll be a fun weekend. So with that, the regular Board of Directors meeting is now adjourned at 6:17 PM.
Thank you.
I need to use 5 minutes.
Just hope it doesn't rain like.
No, it's gonna be beautiful.
It was great weather.